we're so often told, that the path after high school is college, then career, then success.
Yeah.
Simple.
Like a straight line.
But what if it isn't the only route? Or maybe not even the best one for everyone.
Exactly.
Today, we're really digging into Drop Out and Get Schooled by Patrick Bet-David with Thomas N. Ellsworth.
Yeah, we're pulling out the key arguments, the main ideas.
To help you really think through this whole, automatic decision to jump into a four-year college right away.
And just to be clear, our goal isn't to bash college. Not at all.
No, definitely not.
It's more about tackling that core question.
Right.
Is heading straight to a four-year university the only default setting for, a successful future after high school?
Let's see what the book has to say.
Okay.
So, why this almost knee-jerk reaction? Go to college.
Mm-hmm.
The book points to some, pretty powerful forces, doesn't it?
It really does. First off, just societal expectations. It's tradition.
Yeah, what our parents might have done, maybe. What everyone else seems to be doing.
Generational habits, absolutely. And then, of course, peer pressure. Huge factor.
And that's not just from other students, right? It's parents, even the whole education industry pushing it.
And here's a statistic from the book that really makes you pause.
Oh, yeah.
Only about 30% of high school freshmen actually end up graduating from a four-year college.
Wow. Okay, so that really challenges the idea that it's the default successful path if most don't finish.
Precisely. And then you layer on the financial side of things.
Oh, boy. The costs. The book mentions between 2005 and 2014, tuition jumped up 54%. 54.
Insane. And student debt.
Even worse. Up 157% in that same time frame.
157%.
They point out the class of 2015 at that time had the most student debt ever in the U.S. Average was like $35,000 per person.
And piling on all that debt doesn't automatically mean you'll land a high-paying job right after graduation either.
Not at all. It puts this huge financial weight on young people, on families.
Often without a clear return on that. Pretty massive investment.
And it's not just financial. The book talks about the emotional toll, too.
Right. Thomas N. Ellsworth includes this really sobering personal story.
Yeah. In the prologue, he talks about witnessing a student suicide.
Directly linked, he says, to the intense pressure to perform to succeed in college.
It's just a stark reminder, isn't it? The potential negative side, the mental health impact of that constant push.
Definitely. But given all these challenges and how different people's experiences are, the book isn't just saying don't go to college.
No, it's more nuanced.
Exactly. It actually points out specific groups or situations where, getting that four-year degree is probably the right move.
Okay, so who are they talking about?
Well, first up, professionals needing advanced training. Think science, medicine.
Right. Doctors, engineers. Fields where you absolutely need that specific high-level training.
The book's clear. College is essential there. You need the labs, the specialized equipment, the resources you just can't get elsewhere.
They even bring in Bill Gates' view on the amazing research happening at places like Caltech.
Yeah, it fits. Some jobs just have these non-negotiable requirements. You need that formal academic setting.
Okay, who else?
People who get athletic scholarships.
Ah, yeah, a free education. Hard to argue with that logic.
It is. But the book adds a little caution.
Oh.
Especially with the really big sports programs, football, basketball. Sometimes the focus there might be more on the sport itself than, genuine academic learning.
Okay.
So they kind of nudge student athletes to still really go after fields they're passionate about, maybe science or engineering if that's their interest. Don't just coast academically.
That makes sense. Use the opportunity for more than just sports.
Exactly. What's the real point of the education part?
Yeah.
It should set you up for life after the sport, ideally.
Okay, now this next one they mention is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
They suggest college might be good for people they describe as, lazy.
Lazy. Really? How does that work?
Okay, bear with me. The thinking is that college, maybe especially community college or even getting a certificate, provides structure.
Structure, okay.
Yeah, it can help someone develop a work ethic, maybe overcome procrastination because there are deadlines, expectations.
Right, external motivators.
Exactly. They even mention practical certifications like CompTIA A+ for IT as another way to get skills and focus within that kind of structured system.
So it's about that built-in discipline. If you struggle with self-starting, the college setup might actually help build those muscles. Interesting.
Yeah. Then, maybe less surprising, people who already have really clear life goals.
Okay, that fits. If you know exactly what you want to do.
Right, like you want to go into theology or become a military officer or pursue the arts or get into politics, a specific path.
College can provide a very direct route for those specific knowledge credentials you might need.
It's about having that intention, that why behind being there, makes the whole experience more focused.
Totally. And one more group, kind of related to the structure point.
Yeah.
People who tend to not finish things they start.
Another counterintuitive one. But I see the logic.
Community college, especially, might be a less overwhelming place. Structured support.
To help build that habit of completion, see a course through, finish a project, small wins.
Yeah, fosters a sense of accomplishment in a maybe more manageable way.
Okay, so that covers who the book suggests should probably consider college.
Now let's flip the coin. Who should maybe pump the brakes, think twice, or even consider dropping out?
Right, this is where it gets really challenging to the standard advice. First group. Those without direction.
The meandering students, they call them.
Yeah, just drifting through college, no clear major, no real career goal in sight.
Yeah.
Just racking up debt and honestly maybe wasting time.
Ties back to that intentionality point, doesn't it? If you don't know why you're there.
You're probably not getting the most out of it. Then another group. People with a really strong work ethic, lots of drive, but still an unclear path.
So they're motivated, but maybe college isn't the best use of that energy.
That's the idea. These driven folks might actually find faster, more direct ways to their goals outside of college.
Channeling that energy into practical experience instead. Makes sense.
And here's a really interesting one. People who are just naturally good at sales.
Why them specifically?
Well, the book argues that if you've got that natural knack for sales, you can build a really successful, lucrative career without needing a 4-year degree.
Okay.
The skills you learn in sales communication, persuasion are super valuable and transferable, and there's tons of online sales training available now.
So play to your strengths. If you can sell, maybe a degree isn't the fastest path to success in that field.
Exactly. What about aspiring entrepreneurs?
Ooh, good one. The book sees a potential clash there.
How so?
Between the often rigid, standardized college curriculum and the very things that make entrepreneurs successful.
Like creativity,
Yeah.
thinking outside the box, challenging norms.
Precisely. Sometimes that academic structure can actually maybe stifle the kind of innovative thinking needed to start a business.
They mention an article by Amy Rosen and that Dropout Hall of Fame too, which we got to talk about later.
Yeah, definitely. And surprisingly, they also suggest that being good at making friends might mean college isn't the only way to network anymore.
Wait, how does that work? Isn't college great for networking?
It can be, sure.
Yeah.
But the point is, in the age of LinkedIn, social media, professional groups, you don't solely rely on college alumni networks anymore.
Ah, okay. You can build connections in other ways.
They tell this story about Juliana from Germany, who just proactively went out and got internships to build experience, and her network didn't wait for college connections.
Right. Be resourceful. You don't strictly need the university to build a network now.
Another big one, having a mentor.
Oh, yeah. How does that factor in?
Learning directly from someone successful like a CEO or founder in your field. The book argues that can often be way more valuable, more practical than a traditional business degree.
Like getting the real world scoop.
Exactly. They reference that classic book, What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School, to make the point about those unwritten rules of business you learn from experience or from a mentor.
Okay, that's compelling. They also pull in Sienna Beard's 5 reasons why you shouldn't go to college.
Right. And those reasons echo a lot of this, like needing to work now,
The sheer weight of potential loans being too much.
not knowing what you even want to study yet.
Realizing that some really good jobs like web developer or network admin don't always require a degree anymore.
And maybe just not being academically ready for college-level work right out of high school.
All valid points to consider.
And Ryan Holiday's take is interesting too. Thinking of dropping out, not as quitting, but as,
Betting on yourself.
yeah, and trading space for time, like trading the structured space of college for the time to pursue something else directly.
And he stresses it doesn't have to be this huge dramatic exit, right? A leave of absence is an option.
Exactly. And his advice, if you do consider leaving, keep your network strong, stay grounded, take lots of notes, learn from the experience.
It really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? Not going isn't failure, it's potentially a strategic choice.
A different way to learn and grow.
Now, the book also gets into the business side of college. That was eye-opening.
Yeah, the idea that maybe, just maybe, colleges sometimes prioritize their own bottom line, their revenue, their rankings.
Over the actual success and learning of the students.
It's a provocative thought. They mention a Fortune article by Sheila Blair and an example with Mount St. Mary's College focusing heavily on student retention, mainly to boost their rankings.
It kind of makes students seem like, well, customers.
Instead of individuals on an educational journey. And the numbers they cite are pretty stark.
You mean the huge jump in tuition and debt between 2005 and 2014?
Yeah, while enrollment numbers didn't really climb nearly as much, that disconnect is telling.
Costs go way up, but the number of customers stays relatively flat.
And they touch on the student loan crisis, how it's bigger than credit card debt now.
Briefly mentions Bernie Sanders' idea for free public college as one response.
And also the point that the government actually profits from student loan interest.
It just paints a picture of enormous financial pressure. And not just tuition, textbooks too.
Oh yeah, the textbook costs. They talk about markups being like 40 times the production cost?
40 times. They compare it to Apple's markup on an iPhone, and the textbook markup is way higher.
Wow. It definitely highlights the financial squeeze from multiple angles.
So, okay, if someone reads all this, thinks about it, and decides, yeah, maybe traditional college isn't my path right now.
The book is very clear. You absolutely need a plan.
Right. Just saying I'm not going isn't a plan. It's a reaction.
So they lay out 5 alternative, or maybe components of a plan, to seriously consider.
Okay, what are they?
1, have some kind of support system or income source. You need to survive.
Makes sense. 2, learn sales. It keeps coming back to that.
Yeah, they see it as a fundamental skill. 3, learn self-discipline.
How?
A military is the prime example they give, but there are other ways to build it.
Okay. 4, try to work directly under a successful CEO or entrepreneur.
Even for free, initially, just to learn, soak up the knowledge.
Like an apprenticeship almost. And 5,
start your own business, take the plunge.
And they share that story of Sean Kim, right? Dropped out of McGill, started Ripe.
Exactly. His story highlights skills over degrees, the power of networking outside college, pursuing passion.
But the absolute key, they stress, is if you choose an alternative path.
You have to understand why. What's your reason? What's your strategy?
You need that direction, that motivation. Even if the path isn't traditional, it still needs to lead somewhere.
For sure. Now, the book also critiques what traditional colleges often miss, what's lacking.
Well, those general education requirements come up again.
Ah, yes. The courses that sometimes feel totally irrelevant to your goals.
Ellsworth's own example of taking astronomy when you wanted to do something else entirely.
You've all been there, probably. And they bring in that 4 actions framework from Blue Ocean strategy.
Right, applying a business strategy concept to education. How does that work?
Well, the idea is to break the mold. So for college, they suggest things to create, like more personalized learning paths, maybe earlier chances for entrepreneurial projects, supporting low-cost online options.
Okay, and what about minimize?
Less focus on just testing, maybe shortening the time it takes to get certain degrees, like 18-month programs for some fields.
Faster, more focused. What about increase?
This is a big one. Way more focus on practical life skills.
Like what?
Things like managing relationships or marriage, parenting basics, how to actually find a job, interview skills, people skills, leadership, taxes.
Whoa, yeah, real world stuff.
Understanding politics, voting, stuff often skipped in purely academic settings.
It highlights that gap, doesn't it? Academic theory versus the skills you need just to navigate life.
Totally. They also mentioned, some professors might lack deep real-world experience in what they teach.
And they give a shout out to trade schools
as really valuable alternatives for specific hands-on skills. Plus, the rise of online learning. Things like Entrepreneur University. New models are popping up.
So many things to think about, which leads to the actual decision-making process.
Yeah. How do you process all this and make a choice?
The book really stresses. Have thoughtful debates. Talk it out with yourself, with parents, mentors.
And then ultimately, own the outcome. Whenever you decide, it's your decision.
Ellsworth shares those 2 contrasting stories about conversations with his dad.
Right. The one that did happen, where he was kind of drifting between marine biology and creative writing.
And his dad asked good questions made him realize the actual jobs in marine biology weren't for him, leading him to business.
And then the conversation, that didn't happen, but maybe should have.
The hypothetical one, more structured, focused on What are my actual skills? What careers fit those before even picking a college major?
It really drives home the value of asking those deep questions early.
Like, what do I actually enjoy doing long term, not just for semester?
How can I make good money doing that thing I enjoy?
Do I absolutely need a college degree for that specific path?
And that big one, employee or entrepreneur, where do I see myself fitting?
Yeah, powerful self-reflection prompts there, definitely.
And just to hammer home the point that success absolutely exists outside the standard college path.
The Dropout Hall of Fame.
Yeah, quite a list. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Paul Allen,
Richard Branson, Michael Dell, Larry Ellison,
David Geffen, Travis Kalanick, even Patrick Bet-David himself. So many across different fields.
And the book points out the common threads, right? Not just luck.
No, usually a really clear vision, a driving passion.
A plan to act fast, decisively.
They weren't just winging it. And they briefly mentioned their own paths, too. Bet-David and Ellsworth showing different routes can lead to success.
So wrapping this all up, bringing our deep dive to a close.
The main takeaway really is that this whole college decision, it's deeply personal.
Super personal. It needs real, careful thought about your individual goals, your passions.
And looking honestly at all the alternative paths available now. There are many.
And the book makes a really strong case that choosing not to go the traditional 4-year route right away, that's a totally valid choice for a lot of people.
Yeah, it shouldn't be seen as some kind of failure or negative thing.
Yeah.
It's about finding the best fit for you.
So we really hope this encourages you, the listener, to reflect on your own situation, maybe grapple with some of these questions we've talked about.
Definitely.
And maybe here's a final thought to kind of chew on. Think really hard about the specific skills, the knowledge you truly want to gain. Then ask yourself, what's the absolute best way for me to get that?
The most efficient, the most effective, the most fulfilling way.
Does it have to be that traditional 4-year path, or could there be another way, maybe less conventional?
For you to define your own version of getting schooled for the life you want.